I'm Smiley, and I was born here. I always smoke weed.
Cannabis and Rastafari culture are inseparable. Yes, in Jamaica, the use of marijuana for Rastafari religious rituals is a sacred thing.
And tap into consciousness and all these things, to deprive us of our food, of our medicine.
How can this country coexist with marijuana when most countries in the world prohibit it? Geo lovers, this is Jamaica. It started in the early 20th century in Jamaica, an island in the Caribbean that was then part of the British Empire. At that time, the Jamaican population experienced economic and social inequality, especially for the descendants of African slaves who were brought to the Caribbean region, including Jamaica, during the Spanish colonial period. Most descendants of African slaves worked as laborers on sugarcane plantations and experienced unfair treatment. Even after slavery was abolished in 1834 by the British Empire, they were still mistreated. The descendants of African slaves continued to experience oppression and injustice. This treatment formed an awareness for the African population in Jamaica to seek identity and liberation from the shadow of European colonialism. A Jamaican figure, Marcus Garvey, led the Return to Africa movement. This movement emphasized the return of Africans to their ancestral lands as a form of liberation. Based on the Christian Bible, Garvey predicted the coming of a black king who would lead liberation and development in Africa. On November 2, 1930, across the continent in Africa, Rastafari Makonnen was crowned Emperor Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia. Haile Selassie I was believed to be a descendant of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, who were characters in the Bible. This added to the belief among African descendants in Jamaica that Haile Selassie was the Black King mentioned in the Bible as predicted by Marcus Garvey. This led to the Rastafari movement, named after Ras Tafari. Ras means prince, and Tafari was Haile Selassie I's name before he was crowned king. Teachings about Haile Selassie I as a manifestation of God began to spread in Jamaica, and Jamaican church preachers began to promote Selassie I's rule over King George V of the British Empire, as Jamaica was still a British colony at the time. Among the preachers who spread the Rastafari movement, Leonard Howell is the most important figure who is considered the founder of Rastafari, which he adopted from Marcus Garvey's thought. Howell was also the first to recognize Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia as the embodiment of God, which he called the Second Coming of Jesus. Leonard Howell spread Rastafari teachings through various means, including through his sermons in church and through a work entitled The Promise Key, a book that discusses Rastafari teachings and beliefs along with the lifestyle of a Rastafari. Howell advocates a lifestyle that is consistent with Rastafari principles, such as keeping natural hair that grows unshorn, dreadlocks, wearing clothing that reflects African identity, and avoiding the use of products that are considered unnatural or impure. Howell also preached the importance of returning to the roots of African culture and rejected values adopted from Western culture that he considered degrading to African culture. Considered a dangerous figure by the British colonial government, Howell was arrested several times and his followers were subjected to persecution. Nevertheless, Howell remained steadfast in his Rastafarian beliefs. After his release, Howell founded the Ethiopian Salvation Society in 1939, an organization that housed the Rastafari community. The following year, Howell established a Rastafari settlement known as Pinnacle. Located in the mountains of St. Catherine, Pinnacle became home to thousands of Rastafari people who cultivated cannabis for their spiritual sessions and economic support. The Rastafari consider cannabis to be a sacred herb that calms the mind and is used for meditation as part of the ritual to get closer to Jah, as the Rastafari call God. The reason Rastafari think cannabis helps their spiritual health is also based on the Bible. But the Rastafari were not the first to combine cannabis with religious rituals. Indian labourers who came to Jamaica at the coercion of the British colonial government brought cannabis as part of Hindu religious rituals. This ganja culture was well received by the Jamaican people, especially the Rastafari, who then incorporated it into their religious rituals. Cannabis is also used during the Rastafarian grounding ceremonies, which are marked by singing, dancing, feasting, and the ritual smoking of celebratory herbs. However, the Rastafari's dependence on the illegal plant cannabis provided a strong reason for the authorities to crack down on the Rastafari. Pinnacle residents experienced a series of raids, culminating in May 1954, when police arrested more than 100 Rastas and destroyed about 3 tons of marijuana. The arrest after arrest that the Rastafari experienced did not diminish their belief in performing religious rituals using cannabis. Moreover, Haile Selassie I, the king of Ethiopia, whom they revered, also seemed to support them. In 1955, Haile Selassie II donated 500 acres of Ethiopian land in Shashamane to the Rastafari, especially those in Jamaica. This gift of land was seen by the Rastafari as a fulfillment of the promises contained in their faith, as well as a call to return to their ancestral lands in Africa. In Shashamane, they can freely practice the Rastafari lifestyle, including the use of marijuana in their religious rituals. After Jamaica was granted independence in 1962 by the British Empire, Haile Selassie I finally visited Jamaica for the first time in 1966 at the invitation of the Jamaican government, which wanted to establish good relations with Ethiopia, as well as with Rastafari in the country. Thousands of Rastafari gathered and openly burned ganja in welcome of Haile Selassie I's arrival. Selassie's arrival gave further credence to the beliefs of the Rastafari, and the culture spread beyond Jamaica. Rastafari is increasingly recognized by many people outside Jamaica as reggae music goes global. Famous musicians such as Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, and Bunny Wailer became the main ambassadors to convey Rastafari's messages, including issues such as social justice, peace, and resistance to oppression through their music. As Rastafari becomes more mainstream, it means that marijuana is increasingly being used for the purposes of Rastafari religious rituals. This is certainly a homework assignment for the Jamaican government, which has historically clashed with the Rastafari community over the use of marijuana. To reduce tensions between the Jamaican government and the Rastafari community, the government finally relaxed its policies regarding marijuana. In February 2015, the Jamaican legislature decided to ease the penalties related to marijuana possession. Jamaicans who possess as much as 2 ounces of marijuana are no longer illegal, although they will still be fined up to 500 Jamaican dollars or around 50,000 rupiah. Although the fine to be paid is relatively small, if you have more than 2 ounces of marijuana, it is already included in illegal acts and is a criminal offence, as well as possession of marijuana under the age of 18 years. As for medical purposes, marijuana is fully legalized. In Jamaica, the first medical marijuana pharmacy was even opened in 2018. In addition, Jamaica also fully legalizes marijuana for religious purposes, such as rituals performed by Rastafari. By 2023, Jamaica has become a global medical cannabis market. Travelers who come to Jamaica with a medical marijuana prescription from their home country are allowed to buy and consume marijuana in Jamaica through licensed pharmacies. Geo lovers remember the use of this marijuana is for medical and spiritual purposes for Rastafari people, not used carelessly without accountability.
And praise. You make me so big and brave. You make me be the wisest man in these days. Marijuana. Okay?
In the end, Rastafari played a big role in changing the perspective of the Jamaican government, so that marijuana is able to become one of the drivers of economic growth in Jamaica. At this point, geo-lovers understand that reggae musicians are always synonymous with marijuana leaves and beach children, and the typical colours of red, yellow, and green. Apart from Jamaica, which is famous for its Rastafari culture, Jamaica is also famous for its beautiful beaches, which are the destination of world tourists. This is certainly not surprising, because Jamaica is located in the Caribbean region, an area on the American continent characterized by clear seawater and white sand. Jamaica borders Cuba to the north, Haiti and the Dominican Republic to the northeast, while Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica are located in the southwest, and Panama is located south of Jamaica. Being the third largest island in the Caribbean region, Jamaica only has an area of about 10,990 square kilometers, or slightly smaller than the island of Bangka, Indonesia. FYI geo-lovers, based on its geological history, Jamaica is a mountain peak that emerges from the seabed. Almost half of the island is at an altitude of more than 330 meters above sea level. Apart from having a beautiful coastline of 1,022 kilometers, Jamaica also has a stunning mountain landscape. The main mountain range, known as the Blue Mountains, is located in the eastern part of the island, as well as being Jamaica's highest point, reaching 2,256 meters above sea level.
Who's that artist right here? Who, me or him?
Geo-lovers, in the middle of 2023, it was recorded that Jamaica had a population of 2,825,168 people. The city of Kingston, the capital of Jamaica, is the most populous place with 937,700 inhabitants, followed by New Kingston, which is inhabited by around 500,000 residents. There are also Spanish Town and Portmore, which have a population of around 100,000 people. The other towns have an average of less than 50,000 residents. Of this 2.8 million plus population, Jamaica is populated by people of African descent, who represent 76.3% of the population, followed by 15.1% Afro-European, 3.4% East Indian and Afro-East Indian, 3.2% Caucasian, 1.2% Chinese, and 0.8% from other races. The large number of African descendants in Jamaica is due to slavery during the Spanish colonial period. The Spanish government lacked slave labor at the time, so it imported from its colonies in Africa. Meanwhile, most of the Asian population in Jamaica are descendants of contract workers brought by the British colonial government to fill the labor shortage after the abolition of slavery in 1838. There are also about 20,000 Jamaicans of Lebanese and Syrian descent. Most are Christian immigrants who fled the Ottoman Empire in the early 19th century. Many of these Middle Eastern descendants became successful politicians and businessmen, such as former Jamaican Prime Minister Edward Seager, former Miss World and politician Lisa Hanna, Edward Zaka, Shaheen Robinson, and hotelier Abraham Elias Issa. Jamaica actually has an indigenous people, the Taino tribe, who have inhabited Jamaica for centuries. But when the Spanish ruled Jamaica, the Taino were gradually exterminated and replaced by African slaves. As diverse as the origins of Jamaica's population are, so too are the religions of the people, including Christianity, Hinduism, Judaism, and Islam. However, most of them are Rastafarians, Christians who grew out of the freedom-seeking movement, which Minjeo explained at the beginning. For language, Jamaica is a bilingual country with two main languages spoken, namely English and Jamaican patois. Patois is a mixture of English, African languages, and other local influences. It is usually used in everyday life and cultural events.
I take up my farming and start farming. You say farming is the best. You buy goat, raise one goat to cow.
Jamaica's economy grew by 5.2% in 2022 and has fully recovered from the worldwide COVID-19 shock. This recovery has been rapid, as during the previous economic crisis, Jamaica's economy slipped into recession. Jamaica relies heavily on the service sector, especially banking, which accounts for 70% of the country's GDP. There is also agriculture, which is also an important sector in the Jamaican economy. The leading agricultural products are sugarcane, coffee, cocoa, and bananas. Other sectors such as tourism, mining, and manufacturing also contribute to the country's income. Despite economic progress, Jamaica's high crime rate, corruption, and hefty taxes have deterred foreign investment. This has certainly hampered economic growth. Geo lovers, Jamaica is not only famous for its reggae and Rastafari, there are still many unique things about this country. Let's take a look at some unique facts that you might not know about Jamaica that Minjeo has summarized below. The Blue Mountains in Jamaica are famous for its exclusive Blue Mountain coffee. This coffee is considered one of the best in the world. The Maroon community in Jamaica are descendants of slaves who managed to escape during the colonial era, holding certain privileges to maintain their cultural heritage with pride. They also have their own traditions and language. In Jamaica, there is the John Conu Festival, which is a folk festival held throughout December and January. The festival involves parades, dances, and colourful costumes that reflect a mix of African and European cultures. Although there is no winter in Jamaica, Jamaica miraculously participated in the Winter Olympic sports. The Jamaican bobsled team managed to qualify and participate in several Winter Olympics. Usain Bolt, the human equivalent of the superhero Flash, is from Jamaica. Of the 5 fastest male runners in the world, 4 of them are Jamaican. Besides Usain Bolt, there are Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, Asafa Powell, and Veronica Campbell-Brown. In fact, Shelly Ann Fraser-Price was the first Caribbean woman to win gold at the 2008 Olympics. In 1997, Jamaica made history by becoming the first English-speaking Caribbean nation to qualify for the World Cup soccer tournament. The snake population on the island of Jamaica is very small, none of which are venomous. Back in 1872, mongooses were imported to Jamaica to clear rats from sugarcane fields. This also killed off a large number of snake populations. Today, only 8 species of non-venomous snakes are found in Jamaica. Ever watched the James Bond series? Author Ian Fleming got the inspiration for the story while in Jamaica. Fleming then designed his dream house in Jamaica and named it GoldenEye. Jamaican women are famous for their beauty. Jamaica has placed 3 winners and 3 runners-up in the Miss World competition. It is not without reason. Not only have intelligence and attractive personalities, Jamaican women also exude natural and exotic beauty, so it is not surprising that they are often ranked at the top in world beauty contests. Naomi Campbell, Grace Jones, Stacey McKenzie, and Tyson Beckford are examples of the most popular models from Jamaica. The national flag of Jamaica is black, green, and yellow. Black symbolizes the strength and courage of the Jamaican people. Green symbolizes the fertile land and natural wealth. And yellow symbolizes the sun shining over Jamaica and the country's natural wealth. Christopher Columbus learned about Jamaica from the Cubans, who claimed that the place was full of gold. Columbus traveled to Jamaica in 1494, but found no treasure here. Because Jamaica does not have gold, there is bauxite. Geo lovers, That's Jamaica, a country that is rich in culture from colonial history and has beaches that can attract people to laze in the sun and listen to reggae music